giant volcano like never before is getting ready to erupt. This huge caldera is one of the largest in the world, and its upcoming eruption could be truly massive.
Welcome to another Amazing Last Days with Michael Evans. I've got so many things to talk about, and I haven't done a video in such a long time. So I'm going to kind of jump around, and I'm going to piece things together.
How concerned are you with the continued provocation in the South China Sea
I'm
from
sorry?
China? How concerned are you with the continued provocation from China?
As concerned as you could possibly be. It is one of the major issues that we have to face in that.
I'm not going to edit it a whole lot, and I'm going to throw it out there and let you make sense out of it. You might not want to come to the Philippines, and things that are going on here that can be more trouble than they're worth. The first thing I want to talk to you about why you might not want to come here is the political situation. And so I believe that it's escalating to the point where we will likely have a world war, but we will have a world war because I see them preparing for it. You don't put things into position. You don't test the water if you're not going to use the water. And water's being tested. The sabers are being rattled, and preparations being made. China's trying to take over the South China Sea. The Philippines, rightfully so, is saying no, we have a right to be here. And the rest of the world except for China, recognizes that you've got a 200-mile, or the equivalent thereof, 200 miles off your coastline. You own that territory. And it's not just the Philippines. It mainly concerns Taiwan. And in the biggest of ways, they want to take Taiwan. They never owned it. Then Russia has sided with Iran. This is bad. Russia's already threatened us with nuclear war, or at least using a nuclear device. They've also stated that they could knock out our power grid, and they can. So it's getting beyond tense, very dangerous. I think fingers are on the trigger, but I think China's waiting for us to become more involved in other situations where we're spread thin and not as able, and they're going to try and take Taiwan, and they need this area to be able to take that area. So they'll take this area first. They'll shut the waters down, and then it won't be that difficult, I don't think. So it's a dangerous situation, and I wanted to tell you, there's Chinese battleships that park off the coast out here, and they ram vessels that belong to the Philippines. They harass the fishermen and claim the seas, both here and in Vietnam. I can only imagine what it's like to be in Taiwan right now. And so it's tense, and be aware of that. If you're considering retiring here, bringing your family, or moving here and trying to find a family and have a home, you might want to reconsider solely because, well, that and the prices of groceries and things are going up. And one more thing, as if that's not already enough and it's starting to get depressing, there's the possibility of the collapse of the dollar. And there again, it's a bubble that just kind of has to bust. And everybody's saying it's going to happen now. You're seeing a lot of evidence that this is going to happen fairly soon. It could be postponed, but let me ask you, do you want to be here in a situation where, even temporarily for a matter of months or so, if the dollar collapses? I think, in my opinion, the currencies around the world will have a domino effect, a very quick domino effect, and it'll shut everything down in a bad way. The majority of the planet will have to regroup. They've probably got something that they can replace it with if the nations will accept it. I think it's something similar to Bitcoin, and that is so vulnerable. I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't know. I'm not in charge of anything. So, you're looking at all that and the possibilities of it. If you're living on Social Security, just don't do it. You won't be able to buy food. You won't be able to pay your rent. You're in a foreign land where nobody knows you. Yeah, I would rethink it. I'm here. What can I say? But I'm a bit of a survivalist. Not really. I'll say I used to be. So I still have that knowledge. I have become a Christian, and I've educated myself, and I understand that God is able. God is able to take care of you and to help you get through a difficult time. He will be with you. He promises us that. So I don't think there's any harm in being prepped up a little bit. You've got some food to last you for a while. That's always a good idea. I just don't think that you should have the doomsdayer mentality where you're stocked up on guns and ammo and 3 years worth of food, and you're going to kill somebody to keep it. Self-defense in certain situations is okay, I believe. And it's something I've really wrestled with off and on through the years. And as far as words, or you're going to take my food, as long as you're not going to harm my family, if that's the trade-off, take the food. I'll go eat kudzu and pigeons, and I'll be fine. Me and my wife will be fine. Go live in the jungle, kind of would like to do that anyway. Just don't want to be shot at. So anyway, that's the situation, and I wanted to share that with you. And there's a lot of people would disagree with this. That's fine. I see it, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. Is if there is a world war, you probably will see the dollar collapse and not be worth anything on short order, and not for that reason, but maybe the war would actually prop up the, according to what position we're in, but prop up the new currency that we put in place. So whatever the case, it's a risky time to be moving here on any amount of just Social Security as an income. They won't let you work here. And so in the best of situations, if you don't have enough money, there's nothing you can do about it unless you've got a little extra to invest and recycle your money and make a profit off of it. You're going to be in a jam if the dollar collapses, or if they have embargo or if they shut the waters down out here. Could get pretty bad. So it goes back to the basics, and do you really want to be here when that happens? I think it's better to be in a place where you're more familiar. And if it takes a while, I may very well move back to the United States, and I won't avoid the world conditions, but I'll be in a familiar area, much more familiar area. So that's my take on that. And now for the rest of the program. Okay, welcome to another amazing Last Days with Michael Evans. I got to tell you, it's past time for another video. And so today's video is going to cover about 3 different topics, maybe 4. One of them is our political situation here and our vulnerability to natural disasters here. A little bit of survival, prepper, whatever you want to call it. How to store up and be prepared in an absolute least amount of way and still get away with it. And a little bit about God. So stay tuned. Okay, for today's video, I'm going to start out with the prepper part, I guess. Now, I was talking to my sister, I don't know, a week ago, maybe a little less, about sprouts, how nutritious they are, and if you get in a pinch and you've got dried seeds, pretty handy. They can save your life. Okay, stop the presses. I'm going to do a little insert and add this to the tape in there where I can find a spot where try to make it as smooth as possible. So what I wanted to add with these beans is they're very inexpensive. I mean, really super inexpensive. There's not anybody that can afford it. You can mix your beans and have all kinds of different nutritional things and add whatever you can hunt and gather to that. And you could probably feed a family off of about $1 a day or less. And it's $1 already spent now. That's $1 invested into the future where you can feed your family all day. And you can do it several different ways, but you at least get one really good meal a day. That's according to how big your family is. And so, I'm going to do some figuring. This bag of seed would probably make 3 batches of 6.6 liters, which is this size bottle, really big. You can feed several people off this. One day you'll have leftovers. It'll carry over to the next day. 3 people, I'd say. And so the price I paid for it, which is more than you'll pay probably anywhere else, only because it's such a small amount. It kind of jacks up. There's a lot more trouble to do it that way. The price is a little higher per seed. And so I don't see the weight. It's well, it's 1/4 of a kilo. So what is that? That's half a pound. Little over half a pound. Just a smidgen over half a pound of seeds. Now these are mung beans, but you can compare most to this. Okay, that's 44.45 pesos. Let's call it 45 pesos, just so we'll come out on the right side of that. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna Google. What's today's currency? Let me do that again. What is the exchange rate between the Filipino peso and the American dollar?
1 Philippine peso equals 2 cents.
Wow, that's not even right. Let's do it this way. 44.45 Filipino pesos converts to what in American currency?
445 Philippine pesos equals $7.82.
That's not right. Did I say that? No, they always get that wrong. 45 Filipino pesos. 45 Philippine pesos converted to U.S. currency equals what?
45 Philippine pesos equals 79 cents.
I was off by a penny. So, let's call it 79 cents. 79 divided by 3.
The answer is approximately 26.333333.
Got it right again. 27 cents. I think I said 28. And that's about what it is. It's a little more than 27 cents. So, for 28 cents, you can get a day's worth of food. And if you take this and add it with what you hunt and gather, you can make this stretch out for 2 or 3 days. And so it's good to stretch things out. It's good to know the plants that are edible and know how to take a slingshot and kill a pigeon. A pigeon is a cousin to a dove. Doves are delicious. Pigeons are delicious. They're the same thing. And so they look a little different. Pigeon might not be quite as smart. Easier target. Just as good on the plate. So, it'd be a shame to starve to death when you've got some kind of protein source there. Any freshwater fish you can eat without cooking. I don't advise it, but you can do it. Never do it with a saltwater fish. And yeah, it's not that hard. It's scary at first, and after about 3 days, you'll settle right in. And I say it's not a bad idea to be a little prepared. There you go. Well, I'm living in an area where we've got a volcano 45 miles in that direction. It's very active. And probably less than 100 miles in that direction, there's a couple more. And then in that direction, less than 200 miles away, a very dangerous and active volcano. Now, on the other side of the island, we're on the west side, not far from the coast at all. A couple miles, I think. That's that far. And our elevation is 45 feet. And so tsunamis are also a worry in the whole ring of fire chain. And we're right in the middle of it, in the most active part of it, I believe. And there's been quite a few tsunamis and earthquakes lately, a lot of volcanoes going off and a lot of active volcanoes, but they just haven't been active for like 1,000 years. They're all waking up. There's a lot of things going on with the sun, solar flares, asteroids. Wow. You know, it's just overwhelming. If you really just sit and dwell on it, you're gonna have a bad day. So the best thing you can do is kind of be prepared for it. Don't overdo it, but do it. Have some gear. I've got cutting tools and sharpening tools. I've got files are very important. I've got water containers and really big backpacks and that sort of thing. And rope will be extraordinarily handy. And just empty plastic bottles. These things, all these things together, no, you can live. You can save your life. So it's an idea. It's something you need to think about. Most people don't. They won't listen. And you can get caught in a terrible bind, but you can survive your way through it if you're somewhat prepared. So here's what I was talking to my sister about. Mung beans, not just mung beans. My favorite bean to grow as a sprout is black oil sunflower seeds. Extremely nutritious and quick to grow. Usually they're all about the same. And here's what you do. Whatever bean or seed, you can just use a rule of thumb. Soak them from 6 to 8 hours. If you fall asleep and forget till the next day, you haven't hurt anything. It's just not necessary. But you just proceed on like you had soaked them for only 6 or 8 hours. You take the dry beans, take them out of this, and put them in any plastic jar or glass jar or mason jar or bowl, whatever you got. And you pour, kind of get started and learn, but cover the bottom. This is a really big bottle. This is a 6.6 liter water bottle. And I don't remember what I paid for it, like 80 pesos, like more than $1 for this, but it's about right for water, for clean water. Well, when you're through with it, save the bottle. And you can take the lid off and use a pantyhose with a rubber band and leave a breathable top, or you can just drill little holes in the top so you can drain it. You pour the bottom of this, probably about a third of this bag that we got in the local grocery store here in the Philippines. I'd say certainly if you want to, put half the bag. Let's make the math easy. Use a half a bag of this and make sure that it's covered the bottom, and if it's a little less than an inch deep, but if it's a little thick, it's fine. And you pour water up to here. There's not a measurement. Just make sure that all the seeds are covered, and then some, a little bit more. And you shake it around, and drain the water off. Pour the water in again, shake it around. You're washing the bacteria and if there is any poison, try to use organic if you can. But you're washing them. Then you pour the water off, and then you pour the water on. You fill it up as high as you want to, doesn't matter. And you let them sit for, let's say, 6 hours is fine. 8 hours is better, somewhere in there. You don't have to split hairs with it. Then, before you go to bed, you pour all the water off. Make sure you don't pour the seeds out. And then you vent it a little bit, and you set them in a dark corner. Tomorrow, they're going to be sprouting a little bit. You're going to see little white spots at the bottom of the seeds instead of just solid green. Or in my case, I use black oil seeds or whatever. There's all kinds of different beans and seeds that you can sprout like that. And if they're edible plants, you can use the beans, sprout them, and eat them. And so every 12 hours, so about when you get up and then right before you go to bed, you water them. And you take it and you go fill it half full of water and slosh them around for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Gently pour the water off. Do it a second time if you want to. It's not going to hurt anything, and it might help. And then you gently pour the water off a second time. Make sure all the water that you can let drain for a couple minutes. It's got a little water in there. It's not going to hurt anything. Set it back up. Knock them to the bottom. Set them back in the dark corner. Do that every morning and every evening. Do it twice a day. And I'm going to show you what I got out of this jar that I made. This is 4 days ago. This is 4 days. I simply covered the bottom a little bit with mung beans. Then I did what I just told you, and this is dripping. I just got through washing these out. Tomorrow, they've just been rewashed, rewatered, and drained. So tomorrow, they're going to be bursting to come out of here. It's a plastic jar, so it won't hurt anything. I'll screw the lid off, and we're going to cook these. And the reason I want to cook them, you might lose a little nutrition, but you may have bacteria. You can literally have tapeworm eggs, and there's just no way to know if you got tapeworm eggs in your vegetables and in your seeds or not. So cook them, and then enjoy a really good nutritious meal. It's just that simple. Now, if I take one of these every day, let's say I've got 7 bottles of these, 7 bottles, and I've got 3 packets would be enough, but let's say 4, and you'll have a little left over. And every day you start the proceedings of this on this bottle. And you let them grow to 7 days. Now, the reason I'm harvesting the other one at day 5 actually is because they're just growing so fast and so healthy that there's no more room. And I don't think they'll burst it, but there's no point in leaving them in there like that. It's full, I'm gonna harvest them. This will probably be completely full to the top if you do it correctly in about 7 days, and they'll be fresh and clean and ready to eat. And if you can't get them out, you can always just cut the plastic open and fold it out. And and then just replace the bottle. Save your plastic bottles. But a family, a small family, could literally live on this if you had to for a little while. You start one a day. Don't cheat. You can live a month without eating a bite as long as you got clean water, and I say clean water. And that's a whole nother video. But your food, it's just that simple. You've got to have food in your belly. You've got to burn something. And these are very nutritious. They're packed with nutrition. And that nutrition, it explodes. If you eat them like they are, you'll get some nutrition out of them. If you wait and let them grow to adulthood and they produce the fruit, then you get some nutrition out of them. But to get the maximum nutrition out of these, you harvest them in 7 days, between 4 and 7 days. And they're just cram-packed with vitamins and nutrition and things that are really good for your body, and protein and fiber and everything that you need. Not everything, but a lot of what you need. So that's that on the prepper stuff and the survival stuff. This is, like I said, this is day 4. In the morning, it'll be cram-packed to the top, and there'll be roots coming out of here, out of the bottom where the holes are that I drilled, and they'll be just bursting to come out of there. And I'll hand it over to my wife and let her cook something nice out of it. She's a great cook, and she knows how to make things flavorful and good and cook it. And it's very, we're not vegetarians, but boy, we're getting there. I mean, I've eliminated a bunch of meat out of my diet, a little bit of chicken, a little tiny amount of fish, and a whole lot of vegetables, and with a whole lot of flavorful things that she puts in there that I have no idea what she does or how she does it. It's really good food, very healthy. Now, what else was we going to talk about today? Political situation. And I may wind up using this, and it may not be long at all. I'm not freaking out about it. I'm not afraid. I'm prepared as much as a person can be, and I'm just living my life. I live, according to Google, it's a little over an hour to drive from here to the airport in Manila. And so I disagree. I think it takes less than that. I've flown in and out several times now, and it doesn't take that long. It's 45 minutes or something. So we're not driving 60 miles an hour either, which would be 60 miles in 1 hour. So we're less than 60 miles away. And we're probably about, I think we're about 35 miles from the airport in Manila. And that's actually as crowded as it is around Manila. That's actually some distance for here. So anyway, on the other side, a little bit north, there's been Chinese battleships and Chinese Coast Guard, and they are claiming that the South China Seas are theirs, and that they own it almost all the way up to the very coastline, and they're really pushing not just the Philippines, but Vietnam and possibly Japan, probably trying to intimidate Japan a little bit, and certainly Taiwan. it is an extremely dangerous situation, and I think it's not a matter of if but when, and I think the when's going to be pretty soon. I'm not going to say if it happens. There's too much money being spent. People are getting in position. People are preparing for war. You just don't see the common people doing it. I see the military. I see the governments. I hear the rattling of the sabers, and I see more than that. And so I think it's going to be a very bad situation. And do I think World War III is possible? Everybody in the world sees that it is now. And if the United States gets tangled up in the Middle East and Russia and Ukraine, then that's a diversion that would probably cause China to go ahead and act and at least seize the waters. And it's a trade route, and there's trillions of dollars goes to there every year. It's very important. It's strategically, it's strategic militarily. I can't talk. So it's an extremely important pathway through the water, in the oceans. And so I heard that President Marcos wants it to be called the Western Philippine Sea instead of the South China Sea. Fair enough. Not all of it. He's not trying to block anybody from going through it. He's just saying we have a right to our waters. And everybody but China recognizes, everybody recognizes a 200-mile limit. Off 200 miles straight out from the coast, it's the waters of that country. And some of them are going to overlap, and you just deal with that. But the big bully on the block doesn't see it that way, and they want to take over, dominate, possess, and it's just a dangerous situation. So I support, not just because I live here, they're right. You have a right to exist in your own territory without being bullied by a bigger country. The Philippines, in this case, is 100% right. They need to be left alone, and China's not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They want Taiwan really bad. And you know what? I'm the least political person on the face of this earth, and this is starting to get me riled up. So what I need to do is chill on that. I don't become political. I'm more interested in serving God at this point in my life. I've been a horrible person in a lot of ways, and I've done some very strange things in my life. And I'm at a point in my life, I don't want to do anything that's not right. I want to serve God. I want to obey Him and do what He says is right, because He's way smarter than I am. If you take all the people on the planet together, He's smarter than all of us put together. So, that's where I'm coming from, and I'm trying not to be political. I won't be political. I'm just saying it like it is. I tell it like it is. And this is going to get bad. And so, another reason to prepare yourself a little bit, clean water and something to eat. The two most important things, except Jesus said that man doesn't live by bread alone. He lives by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So you've got a relationship with God. You understand scriptures and you worship God. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a little prepared with some food and a way to purify your water. It's no different than everyday life. It's just the circumstances present that you need to do that. And worldwide, look at North Carolina right now. So many dead people from the flooding up in the mountains. I used to live up there in the area of Tennessee. I've never lived in North Carolina, but I've been through there a lot. I grew up in Georgia, up in the foothills of the mountains, and I know what it's like. And I understand what's going on. There's a lot more than's being said, and it's not normal to flood in the mountains like that. It is in Virginia to a point. I've seen it. But it's in areas that are known to flood. And there's a reason for that. It's not because the ocean just got dumped from the sky all at once in Florida and North Carolina. So anyway, what else? There's another hurricane. Milton, I think, is the name of this one. I can't remember the name of the first one either. But so hurricanes, natural disasters, tell me they're not on the rise. The possibility, and this is where it gets weird, and you can believe it or not, but it's true. You can research it easily in 10 minutes on Google. The solar flares the sun's been acting up more and more for about 2 years now, I think. I noticed it was doing it some years back when I worked up in Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. And there was an increase of solar activity that was concerning. The sun's on an 11-year cycle, and it was on a high cycle then, and it caused electrolysis problems, for lack of another definition. Take longer to explain than it's worth. But it was causing pipe blowouts up there. And so at this point, it's on another high cycle, and it hasn't completed the height of that cycle. We're looking at a lot worse. The possibility of it destroying our power grid and other countries' power grid. I'd say India, probably here. Oh man, their electrical system here is beyond third world. It's other dimensional bad. It's really horrible wiring and structure of their system. So I don't think it would knock out the whole planet, but whatever side of the planet is facing the sun when this hits, we'll find out probably tomorrow. So we've had solar flares and EMTs that are just off the chart. Enormous potential to shut down a power grid, or 2 or 3. So I guess America, we had 3. I guess we've got 4 now. If you count what Texas has done in the last few years, they've got an enormous amount of the windmills, which are just as vulnerable in my book to something like an EMT or a coronal mass ejection or solar flare or nuclear EMT. It'll fry everything. The chips the working parts of those things are from China, so go figure. They're vulnerable, and so it doesn't hurt to be prepared. So what's the most important thing on your list? And so that's it for a minute. I'll be back, and we'll finish the tape. Well, we're back. And so I had forgotten to mention the recent earthquake off on the coast of Russia recently. It was a few days ago, and they had a 7.2. I believe it was near a volcano there. And the Aleutian Island chain that comes out from Alaska out towards Russia, full of volcanoes, active volcanoes. There's an extremely high amount of area out there that's prone to earthquake. It's all prone to earthquake, but it's past due. And they can tell about how much tension built up, and they can even predict about how high the earthquake should be. And there's so many predictions of 7+ earthquakes to come throughout the Aleutian Island chain. Don't know about Russia. And through here, now, I failed to mention, I cannot pronounce it because I've just read it. I haven't heard it. I believe it's called a Cheladero. It starts with a C. But there's a volcanic Caldera. Anyway, I was reading about it, and they've recently found it off the east coast of Luzon Island. It's not that far out, and it's on the ocean floor. It collapsed. It's also not dead. It's active. It's just not active at the moment, and it could erupt, more likely to explode, and it is the largest supervolcano. Let's call it that. It's pronounceable. And it's the largest supervolcano in the world. Now you might like to think, I'm going to prop the camera up here. You might like to think that the largest would be Yellowstone. It's not. This one is, and there again, can't pronounce the name of it. It's on the ocean floor out here. It's not that far away. It's just on the other side of the strait that I'm on. And on the other side of the Philippine island that I live on. And so it's 3 times larger than the one in Yellowstone and much more complex. And if it goes, and I've heard some rumors that it's becoming active. A lot of volcanoes worldwide that haven't been acting up are acting up. And my theory, this is just me, I haven't read this, I can't prove it. I'm using my 3rd grade science and maybe a little physics and some reasoning. And what I think's happening is because of the sun acting up like it is, you're seeing the volcanoes act up because it comes from the core of the earth. And I'll just explain it real quick. The earth is a big magnet. Kind of. It has a magnetic field because it holds a charge. It holds a charge because most likely it has a nickel and iron core. Well, I'm going to get a racist comment on that one. I know I will. Or a lot of laughter, one of the two. So it's got a nickel and iron core, and it's molten. It's very hot, and what I think, which is not commonly taught, I believe that you have an energy point at the center of the planet. No, I'm not getting into flat earth crap or anything like that. I'm realistic with my science. And so you probably do have energy points that hold planets in place, including the sun. And there's a lot of energy exchanges. You've got magnetic fields that cross each other, and you've got things that happen that cause magnetic energy to convert, not create electricity, but to convert to electricity. And you get heat and energy, and a lot of things happen on a quantum level. It's much beyond what we can see, even through a microscope, but things kind of break down and rearrange, and elements are made from things that they are not at that heat. So anyway, that was a lot for some people, and just not necessary. Just take my word for it. That's probably what's happening. And if it's not, it's still happening. It may not be the reason, but I think it is. So the volcanoes are acting up all over the world. Not trying to scare anybody. It's a fact that the earthquakes, the storms, the wars, look at every bit of it. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to lose subscribers, and I don't care. You know, if you want to not subscribe to me because I'm a Christian, you shouldn't. You should just not subscribe to me. Just unplug and don't listen. But what people like me are trying to do in a small way is warn people. And I didn't. I wasted a lot of years of my life. This is my testimony, and I won't tell all of it. I'll tell a few seconds of it. I'll just say I did a lot of hedonistic and bad things. And I wasn't nearly as shy as people thought I was. And I got into some things, and I had some ideas, and I experimented, and I looked at everything. I looked at the world as Baskin Robbins, and I tried most of the flavors. Some of them I knew I really just wasn't interested in. So I did a lot of things that, according to God, I shouldn't have. And I believe that the reason, well, He's a good God. He loves us. And you'll take a child that is wayward, and you'll let him bump around and hurt himself a little bit to learn his lessons. I'm going to let him grab something hot, and he'll realize, well, that was the wrong way to do that. And I think God's the same way with us sometimes. And so I grabbed a lot of hot irons and different things, and I have come to the conclusion that God is real, very real. And I see it in my own life. And if anybody were to ever ask me, prove it to me, I can't. But I know who can. You can. I wrestled with that answer for a long time. Who can do it? Where can I find somebody? Well, no. A person has to look into it themselves, and they will begin to understand. No, what are the odds of all these things being like this? The Bible says things, it happens. And if you do the research, you'll begin to understand that it's real. You'll see the wisdom in the writings of the Scripture, and that they are inspired by the Holy Spirit, and not just somebody trying to be clever and start a religion or control somebody or whatever people say. And so I believe, if I have it right, I believe there are, I think it's 44 authors, 60 some odd books, and written over 1,800 years. And it is not only a big jigsaw puzzle, but all the pieces will fit, and it comes out to a very amazing story, past, present, and future. It's very accurate. It's extremely accurate. It is completely accurate. And so if you look into it for yourself, you can prove it or disprove it. But just to say it isn't so, or that it is so, it's not right. And on the other hand, I see a lot of preachers teaching things that they don't know what they're talking about. And that's worse. You're misleading others. It's just not good. So I'm careful of what I do say, but I can tell you this. Salvation is your most important thing you'll ever do in your life. More important than storing seeds and prepping. A lot more important than anything else you'll do. More than important, this is a hard one, more important than your family, your friends. More important than money in the bank or food in the refrigerator. It's, you're talking about an eternal life with a loving God. Look into it. And that pretty much sums it up, I believe. You're the one that, if you can hear that, it's cat fighting here in the Philippines. That's bad. So anyway, that's all I can think of to say. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying, it's the time we're living in. And Jesus said that when you see these things come to pass, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. It's even at the door. I think that if you will look, it'll concern you enough to get right with God. Now's the time. The Bible says that more will be lost, will not make it, than those that do. And God's about to take a huge loss. But he loves the ones that he can save. He's trying to save everybody. But he does it by his word. So there's a lot of things I don't have time to say right now. Maybe we can talk about it another time. That covers about everything I want to say today. So until next time, this is Amazing Last Days with Michael Evans.